Right?
Yes, one of the questions that comes to mind is, why did it end up being 16 counties for our region? And then in the state, how many regions are there?
6 in the state? Oh, well, there's 12. There's 12. Well, one thing we need the state to do is to standardize, right? We have 22 WIB, Laura, help me, 22 WIB districts, 12 economic development districts, how many? 29 able districts, so we're a mishmash. But these days, the state is generally talking about 6 or 7 mega regions. The way we got to it, we went out and asked, we did it 2 ways. One is we asked the economists to take a look, and they looked at commuting patterns and supply flows and things of that sort. Then we also polled people, and we said, where are you from, and where do you think they're from? And it originally came out to 14 counties, but then Ashland and Richland counties said, we want in too. And what are we going to say, no? And we said, well, you want to put some money on the stump? Come on in. But it was polling data with the public. Do you consider yourself from Northeast Ohio, and do you consider people from that town from Northeast Ohio? The Mahoning Valley is kind of on the bubble, whether they think they're with us or not, but it's kind of hard to think of Northeast Ohio without your Northeast counties. Yes?
One of the basic belief systems, not just in our region, but one of the basic belief systems that has an effect on this is that we are trained to compete. We are encouraged to be competitive. We are big sports towns and big sports states, and although we talk about teamwork, we expect teamwork to result in beating another team. And so we are not trained to collaborate. So when we're asked to collaborate, we find that those collaborations are never real strong.
Yeah.
The nonprofit community sees itself competing with each other for grant money, for sponsorships, we are born and trained to compete. So collaboration is difficult. In my daily work, when I'm not city counciling, I work with watersheds, and watersheds are nature's regions.
Right.
You cannot control the way water flows. You are stuck in a geological region with your neighbors, and people are now learning that it's less expensive to get along and work together than to keep trying to outbuild and out-engineer nature. And so I see hope that this is one way communities are learning.
Right, that's a great point.
To work together, and then the smaller sub-watersheds work into our great big watershed.
Yeah.
So somewhere there has to be a training wheel level for communities to learn how to work together.
That's a great point, and maybe it is watersheds. That would be a great thing, whether it's what's coming downstream from Summit County and what's happening in the Chagrin Valley and even further. That's a great point. And by the way, one of the things, and then we'll move to the last slide here, is it's interesting, this idea of competition, because if just kind of pull back a minute and think about what's the binding constraint globally right now. We are in one of the most unprecedented periods of technological change in human history. And so people say, well, Solon's not really competing with Hudson. Cleveland's not really competing with Akron. Northeast Ohio isn't really competing with Pittsburgh. The Midwest isn't really competing with the West Coast, and the United States isn't really competing with China. With the rates of technological change right now, the binding constraint is being able to harness the technological change, not some sort of winner-take-all world. If everything that could be invented had been invented, then we have to fight over the spoils. But with the rates of growth and innovation, everybody can be our partner. I mean, it sounds Pollyannish, but it really, ultimately, it's true. And so a collaboration with Spain on wind turbines could be great. So let me just wrap and just ask these questions, and it's just rhetorical questions because it ties into the goals. Could we become the leading venture capital market, lead the Midwest in payroll expansion, get 100,000 of our citizens to better jobs through education, make sure every employer has access to employment in 60 to 90 days? Is that so unreasonable? Have 100 minority-owned businesses with sales in excess of $100 million. Double the percentage of our low-income population who have a post-secondary degree. And have those lines come together so that urban expansion and infrastructure matches economic and population growth. And in the spirit of next January, hopefully the answer is yes, we can. So I'm content to hang around to answer any more questions. I don't want to cut it off prematurely, but I see some eyes and heads starting to flag here, so I got the sense that maybe we better stop. So thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you. And if you have ideas, we came and talked a lot today. We're ready to listen. Laura, in particular, is a great contact person.